G'day guys, it's Mark here. Welcome to 90’s. In this episode, we're going to throw down a bunch of 90s graphics on this PE Cortina. It's going to get fruity. G'day guys, this is my TE4 Cortina. In previous videos, we tackled the bodywork on this thing. We got it up and running. We palmed it off for a quickie paint job, but now it's back and we're gonna throw a bunch of 90s graphics on it. I can't wait. But first, we're gonna do one of my least favorite jobs, and that's painting up some door jambs. Let's get stuck into it right now. All right, so I'm doing possibly the worst job when it comes to painting. I'm doing door jambs. I've been putting this off for weeks, months. Hate door jambs. I have to do a little bit of filler work. Don't look too closely, it's terrible. And what I'm going to do is right now, in preparation for tomorrow, when I try and get the whole thing wrapped up, is this is the only section I think that is going to need a bit of a 2-pack prime. So this is a little trick you can do if you're only doing a little section. Come check this out. Now, what have I got in the way of? Probably use that bloody much. Capturing all the dodgies. 2-1. It's about 2-1, isn't it? So this is where you got to whip out all the tricks in the book. So because I want to sand this tomorrow morning, we use a little bit of rocket hardener that accelerates. I used that in the last video when we painted the bonnet here. And there's a few drawbacks with using it, but overall, for what we're doing, it's fine. Okay, so this little method I'm about to show you is a good little trick if you don't want to spray a lot of primer. You've got a small, very small repair section. You're in an area you don't want to spray particularly. You don't have to worry about overspray. Also, you can't be bothered cleaning your gun out. Cleaning the gun out is almost as bad a job as sanding door jambs. So what you can actually do is you can actually brush on 2-pack primer. You can actually brush on 2-pack paint if you wanted, but with primer, especially a door jamb, the streaks you're going to get out of this brush are not going to matter because door jambs are more forgiving because everything's curved and there's so many different layers and edges and sort of shit like that. So I actually done this on the door jamb with the Bronco. I didn't show you guys, but I thought this is a good chance to show you. I'm going to 2-pack prime this door jamb on the door because it's the only section I've got. We're going to brush this on tonight and tomorrow morning we'll be able to sand it. You're excited about the bonnet?
How good is the bonnet? Looks good in this lighting.
So here's the bonnet we done on the Bronco only last week, and this was a super quickie. I finished this in like a 320 grit. Generally you want to go a lot finer than that, but we were cutting every corner we possibly could on this thing, and not that you probably see on film, but most of it actually has covered. There's a few little spots here you might see some scratches. You probably never picked that up on the camera. But overall, for what we're doing, absolutely spot on. There's a few little bits and pieces in the paint, very minuscule for the amount of wind that we had on the day. But that sort of stuff will knock down after a few washes. So I'm never going to bother polishing this.
Awesome.
Let's get on this door jamb. So all I've painted on this door jamb is the etch primer sprayed on. And then we're just going to lay this on. The only downfall of this is a little bit tricky to sort of try and get the build without it running, I guess. And once you've applied it, you've applied it. You can't sort of do a few coats like you would if you were spraying. So if we get the amount on there just enough, just right, that we can get the build without the runningness, which I'm sort of going to be a bit trial and erroring myself, we should get a reasonable result. And I owe this trick to my mate Ben Reed, who taught me nearly everything I know about painting. And I'm hoping he can join me at a later date with a few more additions to this Cortina. So as you can see, there's no overspray. There's no fumes. I don't have to wear my mask because, you know, I'm really fussy with wearing my mask, as you guys know. Any little bits and pieces that I'm not happy with, I can just wipe off.
So serious?
All right, guys, now here we are the next morning. Although it probably doesn't look like it, it's an absolute miserable day. Super dark and gloomy, so we're in here hiding away, and we're going to try and get these door jambs tackled. This primer is nice and hard. We can scratch it, see that it's dried up now. We're going to start giving this a rub. We're going to use a soft back paper. This stuff is awesome for door jambs. It's got sandpaper on both sides, and it's very flexible. Helps you get all the nooks and crannies, and the paper on the other side helps it grip to your fingers. These are the absolute hands down worst places to be sanding, along with engine bays. Terrible. Now we're going to start hitting this up. We're trying to feather it out, we just want to basically wash out all the highs and lows until it ends up with a reasonably smooth finish. It's never going to be absolutely perfect because this is a quickie. And don't be afraid if you're trying this at home, you're going to get a hell of a lot of rub throughs. Obviously, with body work and paint panel repairs, we try not to get as many rub throughs as we can, so don't stress too much about it. We're just going to do our best to rub it all out, and then we'll hit any little bare metal spots with some etch primer. This thing will start looking good. Okay, so after about 65 hours, I finally got one door jamb masked up. Masking is by far the worst job of all time. It's actually worse than rubbing these door jambs. I freaking hate this job. That's why I've been putting it off for so long, but we're into it now. Now, I've gone with the paper option. You can use a big plastic sheet that you put over the whole car, mask up, cut out. It can be quicker sometimes, but also can be a lot trickier. If you don't get it right, which I'm not that great with it, it can turn into a real nightmare of a job. Let's get a little etch spot primer down and then start laying a dust coat of colour. Okay, so I filled my gun up with colour. I was nearly ready to start spraying and I forgot about my secret weapon. Door jambs, being an absolute pain to sand, often fail. You often get a car with door jambs with flaky paint and it lets it down big time. So my secret weapon, although I've tried my best to sand this as well as I can, is an adhesion promoter. Now I use a brand called Bulldog. It is super expensive, but I use it when applying white walls for my white wall jobs, and you can use it in situations like this where you aren't super confident about the adhesion. If you haven't sanded it properly or you've got any missed spots, this Bulldog will help bite in and it will help paint stick. I'm going to spray that down on these door jambs first, just to make sure that we get some good adhesion. All right, guys, now the paint is all done. The door jambs look great, especially for a quickie. I'm super happy with the outcome. Now it's time to unmask. We want to do this while the paint's still soft so we get the edge to roll over to a nice smooth finish. If we leave this too long and it dries, you'll end up with a sharp edge, or worse off, we could damage the paint when unmasking. Guys, so this is it. This is the day we're going to get stuck into finally giving this thing the retro makeover that I've been itching to do for so long. We're going to lay down some graphics on the rear quarter of this thing, run some striping down the side. This thing's going to look like a 90s special. I've got my mate Ben Reed here. You may have seen him on earlier episodes. He's responsible for all the good and the bad that I know in paint jobs. No, not really, just the good stuff. Yeah, Ben he loves this sort of stuff. He's right into his graphics, and he's been kind enough to come down and help me today. And at the moment, we're going to start drawing up a bit of a mock-up of what we're going to do here. And then we're going to start laying some colours down. Super exciting. Alright guys, so we've been playing around for an hour or two with graphics, and super time consuming. It might look like an absolute mess at the moment, but we've got a bit of a method and a plan of where we're going. So now we have the painstaking job of replicating this to the other side. So we're going to take a pounce with some brown paper, and then we're going to transfer it, get both sides masked up, and then we won't start painting until it's all ready to go. So. Guys, here it is. We've got side number 2 down. We are going to now mask the car up. We're doing this in a enamel, which goes straight over top of what we got here. There's no prep work in regard to rubbing back like as if it was a base coat. We're just going to go straight on top. We're going to spray this first strip out. We're going to back mask, and then we're going to brush in the rest. We're going to get started right now. Alright, so we've got the first coat down. That was the epoxy enamel that I use for my white wall tyres. And now we're going to move to more sign writing enamel. This is one shot. This is used for pinstriping, brush lettering, that sort of stuff. We're just using any enamel that I have. Now this next yellow is very dry, but we're going to make it work. I've got a bit of a canary yellow here. Epic fail. We stuffed up on this one, guys. As you'll see this side, we've pretty much peeled off all the tape. I've started detaping the other side. The mask was just not a happening thing. We got this all down and we're really happy with how this came out. And then when it came time to unmask and start laying in the grid design that we decided, which was actually meant to be behind, it was just too hard to try and get the it's really hard to explain. You've got it's about layers and getting the layers right, and it just was, there was going to be too much painting, unmasking, and then repainting, and then it was just an absolute nightmare. We were playing around with it right here, and we messed around with it for a little while. We were happy with how the contrast all happened, but it just did not want to play the game. It was just going to be a big headache, and just wasn't a happening thing. We had to decide to pull the pin. I'm gonna readdress this tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna tackle this with a new design. Pretty heartbreaking, but I'll keep going. I'm gonna beat this thing because I have the vision now that Ben's helped me get that far. I'm really excited to see how this turns out. Okay, so now I have my new mask down that I'm happy with. It's much more simplified, much easier to mask up, paint and unmask. I'm just playing with some colors on what I want to do with this grid, how I want to lay the color down. But what I do know is that regardless of what colors, I know I'm going to want to put a white down first. So I'm going to do that right now. Lay a quick white down, even if it's only a light coat. It means that the colors that we choose to put down are going to cover a hell of a lot easier over white, and they're going to give us a true representation of the color we actually mix on the bench. Okay guys, so we're over where the magic happens, the mess happens, and we've got some colors going down. Now I've mixed up, obviously everyone knows if you mix blue and yellow, you're going to end up with a green. Now this is a really quite bright yellow and it's a light blue. So we're going to end up with a pretty much a lime green, which is exactly what I'm thinking for this grid. I'm thinking about doing a fade, maybe from like a light blue to a lime green, because we're going to try and do as much impact as we can with the least amount of masking. So if we do a blend, we're going to get 2 for the price of 1. The same way we do our stripe, we've done a yellow over white. Now I've done a little test panel here. It's not going to be a true representation because the car isn't white, but we're going to see how the colors blend. Now when doing blends, generally speaking, as far as I know, you always want to put down your lighter color first, and then you want to fade your darker color over top of the light color. If you go the other way around, it tends to be a little bit dusty on the transition, and we don't want that. We want it to look like a nice smooth blend. So I'm gonna have a crack here on the bench where we stand and see what we come up with. All right, here we go down. We got some nice lime green going down. All right, I'll blow a bit of blue in. Now the actual green has turned the blue to a little bit more of an aqua blue than I was sort of expecting, but by the time we get a bit of coverage, it's starting to turn into the true color that we were originally planning for. This is looking freaking sick. And of course, this is a small transition. We're going to do this blend a lot bigger on the panel because it's nearly twice the size of this. So they're going to be a bit more forgiving on us as well. There we can see the grid. We've got a nice fade, looks spot on. Blue to green, I think that's gonna look really nice on the electric blue. And if it doesn't, stiff shit, because that's what we're going with. Let's get spraying. Okay guys, so now unmasked, and I did actually make a boo-boo. I accidentally scratched a little bit of the yellow fade here. Worst spot to scratch because it's very hard. It's not a solid color because we've got a fade hit there. I did just do a little bit of a brush touch with some yellow to take your eye off it. Luckily, one of the pros to doing graphics is that you can hide all your mistakes and you can cover your tracks. So the next step to this, which will probably be another day because I want this to dry off really well so I don't have any issues with taping again. We could go straight along and then run that straight over that damaged spot there. Hide all of our mistakes and then back out the other side. We're slowly making some progress. Here we go, guys, man. This is the bit I've been waiting for this whole time. The heartbeat. This is one of the most used and probably one of the most common graphics that is laid down in these 90s designs, and it stands out like absolute dog's balls. I wanted this to be like a neon pink, and it turned out that the color that was spot on for this was my white wool fluoro red. This laid down over top of the white just gave it an absolute pop that I was hoping for. To be honest with you, way better than I was even expecting. This thing is looking sick. I cannot wait to show you the end result. Alright guys, so that is a wrap on the 90s theme TE Cortina. I hope you guys are loving it as much as I am. That's going to be it for this time around. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about the build in the comments below. Check out the online store if you want to support the channel, and I will see you all on an upcoming episode. Cheers guys.